hard to believe that it's already right now, May the 17th, 2026. So we're going to have, I'm going to speak to you about 7 things that I'd like you to do today. So let's pray. Father, thank you today for what we're going to be talking about and how that we should be living. And so bless it now, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, years ago, we used to sing a song which went like this: This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. It meant basically that there was a light in you and I that should be shining brightly. We should be people of encouragement, people of enlightenment. We should be people who are looking to show love to those who really need it today. Because there's a lot of folks out there that are feeling a little gloomy today, feeling a little bit overcast. You know, I used to live in the province of British Columbia. It's a beautiful, beautiful province. And during the summer season, it is absolutely gorgeous. But in the winter time, it is rather dull. In fact, usually from about November 15th to about the middle of February, there's a lot of dark clouds. It's overcast most of the time. And many people who are living in that area face a gloomy prospect. They feel kind of, run down. They feel like they don't have the same energy, and they are suffering from what they call seasonal attention deficit. That means that basically during that cloudy season, people just don't have any get up and go. So that's when those moments of sunshine really pick them up. And maybe that's what you and I need to be in the lives of people right now. There's a lot of folks out there that are feeling kind of overwhelmed and feeling like, man, oh man, I just can't make it. Well, that's where you and I can come into the picture, and we really can make a difference in other people's lives by, giving them a word of encouragement, showing them kindness, letting our light shine in their lives for however long it may be. I had the privilege of yesterday going on a railway ride. We have a railway near us called the, of course, Battle River Railway. And my wife and I, we are volunteers on that particular railway. And yesterday we went for a railway ride. And as volunteers, we had the privilege, of course, helping people, greeting people, and making them feel very comfortable. And I want to tell you something. It was an absolutely delightful experience being a host and helping out wherever we can. And we were able to serve them meals. We were able to make them as comfortable as possible. And after we were done the run, many of the people came up to us and said, "We are so glad that you are here today. Your positivity, your, making us feel so comfortable. It was such an enjoyable ride and such an enjoyable experience for many of them." A couple of ladies that we met actually were from the town that we lived in for a number of years. And so we were able to have a wonderful conversation with them. And afterwards, of course, they came up to us and said, "We're so glad that you took time to have conversations with us. We enjoyed ourselves." What we were doing as volunteers and hostesses, we were making them feel that their experience was well worth it. We were doing customer service, you might say. And so you and I can change someone's, day and make their experience so much better by shining brightly. Also, I encourage you to see beauty even in the most unusual places. Now, as I was talking about that, train experience, we were traveling across different landscapes. Some of the landscapes were more like boreal forests. Some were, nice fields. Others were, of course, wetlands. But it was showing us on that particular ride just how beautiful different areas of where we live, of course, is beautiful. And you need to see beauty even in the most unusual places, and in fact, in the most unusual places as well. It is absolutely essential that you and I don't see the ugliness of what life can bring. You can see the beauty even in the small things. And it is wonderful because it changes your whole perspective and your whole view of things. You can see beauty in people. You can see beauty in nature. You can see beauty in situations. It just depends on the choices that you are going to make. I mean, you can see ugliness everywhere. You can see ugliness in people's speech. You can see ugliness in people's activity and their actions. Or you can choose to flip the script and choose to decide what you're going to see. Now, I happen to live in the province of Alberta in Canada. And where I grew up, for example, was in southern Alberta, right by Banff and Jasper, the Kananaskis and Waterton National Park, basically the Rocky Mountains. And every morning I would get up and, I would look to the west of where I was living, and we had the beautiful Rocky Mountains. Now, I don't happen to live in the Rocky Mountains. I actually live in the Parkland area of Alberta right now, which means we have more rolling hills and also as well, beautiful fields. But even where I live, I can see the beauty of what is going on. And when we went for that ride yesterday, I enjoyed every moment of it. In fact, we had an observation car. So I went out and I stood on the observation car and saw the beauty of the rolling hills, the prairie, and also the wetlands that are around where I live. And when you see beauty in everything, it just changes the narrative and it makes you understand that gratefulness and choices of beauty are, of course, what we see. And remember this, what one person considers beautiful, another person does not. So beauty is also a choice of what you see. And that's very important as well. Thirdly, speak kindly. That is absolutely essential. A lot of people today have a lot of negative words. I remember this one cartoon where there was a deer and an antelope were standing on the prairie, and a cowboy comes up and says, "You two are the weirdest, ugliest animals that I've ever seen." And this particular diatribe went on for about two panels of the cartoon. And as the cowboy, basically rode away, the deer said to the antelope, "I think we just heard our first discouraging word." So, anyway, speak kindly to people today. People are going through all kinds of things today, and they really need a kind word. It was Solomon who said this: "A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pitchers of silver." You and I can change someone's narrative and story for that day just by a kind word. I've heard story after story of individuals who are going through hard times, and someone came along just at the right time and said the right thing. It totally flipped the script on their narrative and changed their story. And they, in turn, made a decision to do the same thing. You and I need to speak kindness. It is easy to criticize. It is easy to gossip. It is easy to slander. It is easy to put people down. It takes a lot more character and a lot more effort sometimes to lift people up. Have you ever met what we would call the Eeyores of, life? Remember from Winnie the Pooh, there was a donkey whose name was Eeyore, and he would go, "Oh, woe is me. Life is so discouraging." And there are some Eeyore people out there. And so speaking kindness into their lives is not easy to do. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of an effort. But I want to tell you something. When you do that, it can change not only your day, but theirs as well. Remember, when you speak kindly, you are also showing a character trait in your life, and that is that you want to walk in love and you want to show kindness wherever you go. Also, as well, love truly. Yes, that's right. You and I make choices every day of love. You see, love is not a fancy, and love is not a feeling, as Shakespeare put it. He said that love is a choice. I want to tell you something. Infatuation very quickly fades. Then love becomes a choice. You know, they did a survey with couples that had been married for over 30 years, and they asked the question, did you always like each other or love each other? And in every situation, they said, no. We made a choice to stay together. We knew that there was something there at the beginning. And over time, it was kind of eroded by circumstances and also, as well, situations. But we chose to love. Whenever I have a picture on my nightstand, and it's a picture of my wife and I when we first got married. We actually are in our wedding clothes. And then we had a 25th anniversary where I was in a suit, and my wife was in a very nice dress. And it sits on my table. And every time I get kind of miffed off at my wife, I go into my bedroom and I look at that picture and I remember the very qualities and characteristics that she has that, makes me love her. And then I make the choice, you know what? This is actually a pretty nice lady. Yesterday, when we were in that train ride, I was watching my wife operate with different people there. There was one particular old fella that she was listening quite intently to. And I thought to myself, this lady is really pretty spectacular. She has such a wonderful manner about her, especially as making people feel as comfortable as possible. She's a real lady. She really is. And those are the type of qualities that, of course, are often displayed or hidden depending on how we respond to one another. So love truly, and love, make the choice to love, because remember, love is patient and love is kind. It's a choice as well, because there are sandpaper people that come into our lives that rub us the wrong way, and we make the choice to love them, and we make the choice to see the beauty in them, to speak kindly to them, and to love them truly. Also, as well, give freely. There's a simple rule of life. Whatever you give is going to come back to you. So if you sow love and kindness and goodness, and that is part of your character, and that's what you're giving to others, you know what? It'll come back to you. There's a billionaires club that was started by Bill Gates and was also initiated with William Buffett. These two men got together and they said, we are basically blessed beyond our measure. So what we're going to do is we're going to give to others. Did you know that every single year, Warren Buffett gives away about $4 to $6 billion to different charities and different, organizations to help enhance the betterment of mankind. These are individuals who have learned that when you give, it comes back to you. In fact, Warren Buffett says, I have to give because it just comes back to me over and over again. It's called the law of sowing and reaping. My son right now is a farmer, okay? And right now, he has been in the field sowing his crop. He believes, and rightly so, that in the fall, when it's time to harvest, he is going to have a great crop. And last year, he had a pretty good crop. Why? Because as a farmer, you know that when you sow, that which you sow is going to come back to you, and it's going to be a 30, 60, 100-fold type of harvest. And it's the same way in life. when you give freely, it comes back to you in the same measure. In fact, Galatians 6:8 says, whatever you sow, you are going to reap. So if you sow kindness, you sow love, you sow, grace and mercy and forgiveness, you know what? That's going to come back to you. So give freely. As you have received, so give. Because what you're doing is you're enhancing and making the life better for others. Because when you give to others, they in turn will say, you know what? That's something I'm going to do. And it's amazing how when people get together and they give freely, it's amazing what can get accomplished. In the Amish community, I actually saw a video of how that there was a bunch of the men of the Amish community got together, excuse me, and they built a barn. And then there were hundreds of them that lifted this barn into place and carried it over from where they had done the construction to the place where the farmer wanted to have the barn placed. It was cooperation. It was working together. And when you give freely, you are working together with others to enhance the life of others and better the life of others as well. Also, as well, create joy wherever you go. There's an old song that says simply this: joy is the flag that is flown from the castle of my heart when the king is in residence there. Basically, you and I can sow joy, not just happiness. Happiness is a momentary feeling. Joy is a deep-seated contentment, knowing that everything is going to work out and that God has control of everything in our lives. It is our strength, and we can create joyfully in the lives of others. A smile just at the right time can change someone's disposition. And basically, when you're smiling, you are actually being energy efficient. You are, making your carbon footprint, you might say, a little less, because it takes more muscles in your mouth to make a frown than it does to make a smile. So a smile can make all the difference in someone's disposition and change their narrative so very easy. Yesterday, for example, on this particular ride that we were in with the railway, we were asked, make sure that you do lots of smiling. So we did lots of smiling, and it was all to create the right atmosphere. You see, when you smile and when you create joy, you're creating a positive atmosphere. A lot of people's atmosphere, a lot of people's world is not that joyful. It is not easy out there right now. I mean, let's face it, gas prices are way up, grocery prices are way up. Money is definitely getting stretched. Some people are trying to decide, should I put gas in my car or should I put food on the table? There's a lot of choices right now. A lot of people are having a hard time. And so you and I can make their day just a little bit better by creating an atmosphere around us of joy. When you go to the grocery store and someone is, looking at the prices and saying to themselves, I don't know if I can make it. Create an atmosphere of joy. That's what I like to do when I go to the grocery store. I have a conversation with the people beside me and we start chatting about things. And, they forget about, the prices and they're engaged in a conversation. And it just changes the whole narrative. You and I can do that. And it doesn't take much effort. And people love to be heard. My wife, for example, yesterday was listening to this particular gentleman, and he was really animated and engaged in the conversation. And he was very happy to be able to share his story. Why? Because somebody was listening. 90% or 80% of conversation is listening. You and I can be great conversationalists just by listening. And listening creates joy. And listening also makes people feel that they are important. And that's really important because a lot of people don't feel that way. They don't feel that they're being heard, that people don't care. And you and I, just in that moment that we are with them, can make them feel that they're special and that someone actually cares. And it can change the disposition and the narrative of that moment. Also, live thankfully. Of course, we all know about Thanksgiving. You know, Thanksgiving is a time where we're grateful and thankful for the people and the things that are in our lives. But you know what? That's something that you and I should be, of course, grateful for every day. Let me just tell you this. I'm not trying to be morbid. I'm not trying to be macabre in any way. I'm just trying to remind people today that the only day that we have is this day. So, as the wonderful psalm says, this is the day which the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Basically, what I'm saying is every day, be thankful. Be thankful that you are alive. Be thankful that you woke up this morning. Be thankful when you go to bed at night, because there's a lot of folks who will wake up today fully believing that they are going to make it through the day, and they don't. Something happens, and all of a sudden, things change dramatically. So you and I should be living thankfully. We should be appreciative of all the things that we've been talking about: shining brightly, seeing beauty in different things, speaking kindly, loving truthfully, giving freely, creating joy wherever we go. But just live with a grateful attitude, an attitude of gratitude. See the beauty in the small things. Enjoy the moments that you have with the people that you love. In about 2.5 hours, my grandkids are going to come over every Sunday morning. They come over just before we go to church. My son and my daughter-in-law, they are the worship leaders of our church. And so every Sunday morning, our grandkids come over and we take them to church. And we get to spend about an hour with cuteness, because all of our grandkids are under the age of 8, these ones particular, and they are so wonderful because life is so exciting for them. Life is in the moment for kids, and that animation, that excitement, that energy is so positive. They'll say, Papa, Grandma, can we do this and we do that? My wife often does crafts with them. We make that hour and a half feel very special. And then we head off to church and they sit with us. And it has been just a wonderful, wonderful situation. And I am so grateful for that. The interesting thing about being a grandparent is this: not that we love our grandkids any more than we loved our children. What that simply means is that we get to enjoy again the wonderful energy, the wonderful positiveness, the wonderful impulsiveness of what our children were like. I enjoyed my kids when they were little. The reason I enjoyed them is because they were so excited about everything. And their excitement often took the edge off of some of the situations that we found ourselves in. I could go home and I knew that whatever I had been facing, as soon as I walked through that door, my kids would run up to me. They would throw their arms around me and they would love me unconditionally. It was absolutely wonderful. And I get to enjoy that again with my grandkids. They love us unconditionally. They bring this energy and excitement and this brand new vision of life that can so easily be destroyed by the cares and riches of this life. That's why you need to live thankfully. You need to be grateful and thankful for the people that are in your life, that enhance your life, that make your life memorable. Those are the type of people that you should be grateful that are in your life. People that are positive, people that lift you up and encourage you. And that's why I encourage you to be one of those people. That's why I'm encouraging you to do these 7 things. So let's look at them one more time. Shine brightly, see beauty where there isn't beauty, speak kindly, love freely, give freely, create joy wherever you are, and live thankfully. These 7 qualities can be so wonderful. And you and I are the ones that make that choice. We make the choice of how we see life and how we react to life, how that we see people and how that we react to people. So that's my exhortation for you today. Let me give you a little prayer. So, Father, today I pray that we will shine brightly, that we will see beauty and speak kindly one to another, that we will love freely those that come into our lives today, that we would be generous and give freely of our time, our talents, and our resources on behalf of others, that wherever we would go, that we would create an atmosphere of joy, and that we would live lives that are thankful and lives of purpose. That's my prayer for us today. My name is Robert Dean Steele. If you like what you've been seeing and hearing, I always encourage you to press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Every day as well, I put on YouTube Shorts. I did a series of them just before I came on today. So check them out as well. Also, as well, I want to thank all the people that have been subscribing to my channel. You guys, you're such a blessing to me. Your comments are greatly appreciated, even the ones that are, what we would call constructive. Okay? So thank you for listening to what I had to say today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for, of course, putting the like button on and also checking out my YouTube shorts. My name is Robert Dean Steele. Thank you for joining me today. Have yourself a great and godly day. And remember, live thankfully.